Yeah, lots of sunshine in the forecast and warmer temperatures, but it is a chilly start to this Sunday morning with many areas either at freezing, below freezing, or near record low temperatures. We'll take you outside to downtown Portland right now, where we are sitting at 33 degrees, calm winds, and clear skies. We're also experiencing some widespread frost out there, so don't be surprised if you wake up, head outside, and see that frost on some of your plants and your grass and whatnot. All right, take you up to Timberline. Beautiful shot, blue skies. And it is going to be a week of beautiful shots of blue skies. Here's a look at your weather headlines. Clear and chilly this morning. We talked about that widespread frost. Could see some record lows. Temperatures in the 20s right now, in the upper 20s and low 30s. And we are looking at a dry week ahead. No rain in sight for the extended forecast. We'll show you that extended forecast coming up in just a bit. Caleb.
All right, Keely, thank you very much. New this morning, we are following another protest outside Portland Ice facility along the south waterfront. This was just after midnight. Demonstrators lit a couple of small fires, including the plywood that's on the building itself right now, boarding up the windows. That fire was put out pretty quickly. Federal agents then dispersed the crowd. We're waiting to hear if they made any arrests. This morning, one man is in jail after police say he went on a deadly crime spree across Washington and Clackamas counties on Saturday. Police say the suspect is 26-year-old Eddie Villalobos there. They say it all started when he stabbed a family member in Cornelius, and that person died. Police say Villalobos then drove off. A few hours later, he's accused of stabbing someone else at a Wilsonville apartment complex. That victim has not been identified and is in critical condition. Villalobos then drove off again. Police finally caught him after a chase in Tigard. He faces many charges, including murder. Healthcare advocates want action. They gathered in Portland's Pioneer Courthouse Square yesterday, saying racism is a threat to public health. Turns out Multnomah County and the Centers for Disease Control back that up too. Our Art Edwards shares how they want equity.
Healthcare, not wealthcare. Healthcare, not wealthcare.
These healthcare advocates meet regularly at Pioneer Courthouse Square, asking for healthcare equality and coverage for all.
There is absolutely no reason that every single person cannot have access to high quality healthcare.
On Thursday, the Centers for Disease Control declared racism to be a serious threat to public health. Multnomah County followed with a similar declaration. There's also a bill in the Oregon House at the committee stage that declares racism is a public health crisis in this state.
I'm here to advocate for health care for every single person, and I am glad to see that we are finally taking racial disparities in health care seriously.
Leslie Gregory is a physician's assistant and the founder of Right to Health Incorporated. She asked the CDC to recognize the threat of racism to public health back in 2015.
We're tired of mourning the losses. It's time to start preventing them, and we know what to do.
She has a plan.
What we proposed is a mobile unit going into communities where we do screenings and we reduce those underlying conditions that we know put people at risk, irrespective of color. And we do not exclude anyone. That's the other point.
The people here say it's time to move beyond just talking about the issue.
We need to cover everybody for all of our mutual benefit.
Art Edwards, KGW News.
And if we stick with one of the biggest health issues of the last year in the coronavirus pandemic here, we're going to give you an update right now. Oregon reported 761 new cases on Saturday. That's the highest single day total since early February. Now, this chart here tracks those daily numbers, and we saw those numbers start to decline after the holiday season, but they have started to rise again. In Washington, too, Governor Jay Inslee will announce tomorrow if COVID restrictions will tighten again. The entire state is in phase 3 right now. That allows 50% indoor capacity at businesses. But some counties may have to go back to phase 2, slashing that capacity in half. Businesses are obviously worried about that. Almost 70 organizations in Washington are asking Governor Inslee for a 3-week delay on any decision to tighten those restrictions. They say phase changes make it really difficult to operate and plan for the future.
I don't know when I wish I should go see a psychic.
I wish that would help, right? For a county to go back a phase, there has to be a rise in cases and hospitalizations. Oregon State University is working on COVID research that could help develop better treatments and vaccines. And one of the student researchers is reaching tens of thousands of people online, explaining complicated science through dance.
Heather Mason Forsyth is passionate about dance and uses it in science. She's a fifth-year PhD candidate at Oregon State University, researching biochemistry and biophysics. This video
is important for understanding viral replication and virion structure.
Dances through her team's research into a specific part of the COVID-19 virus.
The nucleocapsid phosphoprotein.
Easy for her to say. Basically, the structure that protects the virus.
More structured proteins are rigid, locked in place for their specific role.
Her dance video showcasing her PhD research won a national contest through Science magazine.
More disordered proteins are flexible, sampling many states.
So why try to understand this?
If you were trying to work on a car, you would want to know what the engine looks like.
She says these proteins help the virus bind, remain stable, and ultimately infect people.
What kind of things were you hoping to find?
You could, in theory, develop a drug compound that disrupts that interaction, and now all of a sudden the protein can't do its job, completely destroy the virus.
Sounds like a good call.
That would be ideal, yes. It is, of course, incredibly complex.
But Heather is all about breaking down the complex. Her TikTok account, called Hey Curly Top, has nearly 50,000 followers. She showcases her team's findings, answering scientific questions through dance and easy-to-understand text.
Dance and science are ultimately just storytelling to communicate whatever it is you're trying to communicate to your audience.
Many nucleocapsid proteins start to attach using their structured regions.
She says they now know a lot more about how proteins help COVID survive, but there are still questions about how a drug could work.
Would disrupt the virus's ability to replicate.
Ultimately, her art brings more people to the table.
The general public has followed and become involved in science more than ever before, giving scientists a unique opportunity to share their work and talk about the scientific process.
And shows the reality.
What does this mean to you?
It feels both exciting and terrifying sort of all the time.
Science at the speed of sound.
Much more info for you on KGW.com about that. Now, you may have seen them, pounds of garbage piled up on the sidewalks in Old Town, encampments everywhere you look. So to clean up that area and get it ready for Saturday Market next weekend, dozens of volunteers have been picking up trash this weekend. Our Morgan Romero takes us there.
Many see Old Town Chinatown as a growing thorn in the City of Roses, blighted by trash and tents.
Chinatown has changed a lot. Different. Its cost business is gone down pretty bad.
While several businesses boarded up and closed, others actually opened.
So it was a perfect opportunity for some young entrepreneurs to just come in and just make our mark down here.
Ace's Barista is now brewing in the middle of Old Town.
Well, I was a bit scared and a little bit skeptical of opening down here. We had I think 5 tents out front of our business before we opened. So we've just been putting in a lot of hard work.
Owner Judah Ailey says they do what they can to help the homeless and clean up.
It's just important for people to feel comfortable walking down here, feel safe. I think the more businesses that open, we'll get things back to beautiful streets down here.
Ailey and nearby business owners think the return of the popular Saturday market will begin to reinvigorate the neighborhood.
I'm hopeful, I hope more people can come outside, to visit in here area.
My tie-dye business is usually right here on the corner for the last 31 years.
Artist vendors hope the market brings locals and tourists back.
April to May is going to be a real boost for Old Town. We're a real anchor for that. We clean up every week before we come.
A big volunteer cleanup effort this weekend readies that anchor to drop next weekend.
And a spoon!
It's the heart. It's the pulse. It wakes up the entire neighborhood.
On Saturday, Portland Old Town Arts and Culture Foundation partnered with Solve to tackle trash on 36 blocks around Old Town and Waterfront Park.
Wanted to beautify the area and invite people and let them know that this is a safe, inviting area. Yes, there's homeless, but as far as cleanliness goes, we're gonna make an impact on that.
Dozens of volunteers spent their Saturday morning picking thorns off the streets of the City of Roses.
I've got 35 volunteers that care about the city and want to see it turn around. And this is our effort. This is what we can do instead of, sitting and complaining. Get out and do something.
Yeah, I'm excited for people to be back walking down these streets.
An important effort. Morgan Romero reporting for us there. Well, runners rejoice. Hood to Coast will be back this summer. The difference is runners will see this year in the popular relay to keep it COVID safe coming up.